I've, had lots of conversations with women, and I have a friend that was going to be on our live today. But she had some family emergencies come up, but she is a sex coach for Christian women.
We will have her on. She just
we will have her on
last minute today.
Yeah. Last minute she couldn't come, but she will come on and have a lot more to share with this. But I've had lots of conversations with her about men and their desire to please their wife. That is a big part of their sexual drive, is pleasuring their wife and making sure that she's taken care of. And so I think that in society, we kind of, have started to have this crude, conversations around sexuality and men's sexuality and women's sexuality. But in her experience with coaching women, mostly, she has opened it up to men. She does coach some men, but mostly she coaches women, Christian women, that their husbands really do want them to be satisfied, and they want them to be happy. They want them to enjoy it. They even like more than they want to enjoy it themselves. Mm-hmm. If you actually get into these intimate conversations with these couples, that's what comes out 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Is the husband just really wants their wife to enjoy that intimacy with them. And there are some relationship breakers, in relationships, and there's traumas and, all of the things. But I have seen in the callings that I've had and in talking with my friend and in the coaching that I've done, that it is possible with some help to get through some of those things. I have another coach friend that's a guy, and he coaches men who have had pornography addictions. And I think it's Thrive Beyond Pornography, I think is his handle on Instagram, maybe. But he coaches men that have had issues with pornography, and they are Christian men that are struggling and want to get this under control, and they want to save their marriages, and they, all the things. And he works with the man, and his wife works with the women, with the wives. And so there is help for you if you are a Christian couple that struggles with some of these things. No shame. There is so much of it happening. It is Satan's tool. Mm-hmm. There's no shame. Like it's not if, it's when kind of a thing. So the worst thing that you can do is shame someone. It just puts them into hiding, which grows the addiction more. So one of the things that I learned through just years of all the things with this type of situation is shame loves the dark. Mm-hmm. And so if you can bring it into the light, it goes away. The shame goes away if you can bring it into the light. Now, not saying that it's going to just go away forever, like it comes and goes, but if you can have some help, if the wife can have some help, and the husband can have some help individually and then collectively together, it can be something that actually ends up strengthening your relationship beyond anything that you can imagine. So if that is happening with your relationship, please reach out. I have resources. I'm sure Ruth has resources for help. And I know it's vulnerable. I know that is a vulnerable question to ask. But I can
the fight.
It is worth
the fight.
It is worth it.
Worth the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like of all the things that are worth fighting for, this is worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm. It is a battle that is worth picking.
Yeah. Like screw anybody's opinion of maybe possibly looking at you some sort of way. Like forget it. That's just forget it. Their opinion of your marriage as you're working through to get a healthier marriage doesn't matter. But
Mhm.
you struggling alone and having this like big old darkness in the middle that you can't enjoy each other and respect each other and trust each other, that will destroy your marriage, which will
And your
destroy
family.
your money, which
Mhm.
will destroy your mental health. Like, if there is anything worth fighting for, it is a functional, healthy marriage. Like,
Mhm.
it is, I don't know anybody that has been like, I'm so glad that I divorced my wife, but I amassed billions. So
Mhm.
happy about that.
Mhm.
Nobody does that. But I know a lot of people are like, I lost my millions, but I kept my marriage.
Mhm.
We have our marriage certificate on my wall. I can't see. Let's see, you can see. Right. So my room is covered with diplomas and certifications, like high education. My husband is a very smart guy. Lots of licenses and diplomas and degrees and doctor stuff. And me too. And that's right there with all of his stuff, because our marriage is one of the, he would give up any of his diplomas today if necessary to keep that wedding certificate. So like, it is worth fighting for. Just
Yeah.
fight for it.
Yeah. And I would also say that one begets the other. So if you
Yes.
have one party that's like really wants to fight for it, that not all the time, but sometimes it will give the other party the confidence to fight.
Mhm.
Sometimes they just feel so discouraged
Mhm.
that, and there's so much like unsaid stuff happening that sometimes if one person is willing to fight, it will encourage and give the other person confidence to fight. Not always. Like I really like to live in sunshine and rainbow and unicorn land, and say that everybody would just love to fight for their marriage and make it great. But I know that that's not the case. I know that there are some relationships that would be better off if they did break up. I know some relationships like that where they are much better parents. Their family is much healthier. They're just a healthier family in general now that they are divorced. So please don't hear us saying that you should stay in abusive relationships or that you should try to fight for abusive relationships. If you are in an abusive relationship,
Mhm.
that is not what we are talking about.
And it
We
doesn't just have to be physically abusive. Like
any
if
kind
you're dealing with
of abuse.
personality disorders, or even if they haven't reached personality disorder, it's just high levels of narcissism. So there's lots of psychological or emotional abuse. And you feel like you need to be
Mhm.
checked into an insane asylum, or you're doubting your reality. That's sometimes you'd be like, I wish you were just honest about it and punch me in the face.
Yeah.
Because it's still as life sucks.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
we are not talking about abusive relationships. We are not talking, if you are in an abusive relationship, please, please, please reach out and get help. Do not stay in an abusive relationship. The marriages that we are talking about are the ones that are just kind of flat. Like there's no abuse going on, but we're just roommates. We're just living together. We're just kind of going through the motions. Nothing's really wrong, but nothing's really right. Like those are the relationships that we are talking about. So please don't think that we're telling you to stay in abusive relationships. That's not at all what we are saying. Please reach out to get help if you need help with that.